ladies and gentlemen, once again to the City of Doors, Sigil Confidential. Okay, now we'll keep a straight face. Hi everybody. How are y'all doing? There it was. I was waiting on it, waiting on the good evening. At this point, it's canon. Can't start until we hear that. A year. So much has happened since that fateful Halloween episode, too. It's been a wild ride. Thanks, Ginkgo. You know we love you too. And you guys got a reroll. And a setback. Thank you, Mr. Midnight. I'm not sure we're going to use those tonight, but we appreciate your patronage. All the things. Possibly. So, for you at home, in case you missed, or in case I didn't say, which is very possible, we finished out our chapter of the story, Pound of Flesh. Tonight we're going to be doing what we call the Knights of the Round Table, with an N, not a K. And we're just going to sit back, have a chat, talk about the session, what we liked, what we didn't, what we want to do going forward. We'll talk to you guys. We'll keep an eye on chat, and it's going to be kind of laid back, chill out session, but should be fun nonetheless. So thanks for joining us. How is everybody? Excellent. Without an actual whale being involved this time. Oh wait, that was an aboleth, sorry. Okay. I don't know about an aboleth of a good time. I'm not sure that would have the same ring. An aboleth of a good time. No, that's not good. So yeah, first off, let's relax into it. So when we started this, it was, if you remember, we're going all the way back to Don't Fear the Memer. Yeah, they did bleed. Which was your technical first case in Sigil, really, as a team. And then I guess it stemmed a little bit off of the Halloween episode too, really, huh? Because that was where you met the angler. Couldn't have happened to a better person, really. I mean, really. If we're being honest, right? I mean, I know you guys were huge fans of Auto-chan and miss him terribly. Especially after, troll food. This is true. So, from there, as we transitioned into the recent story, the main thing it kicked off with was kind of like a serial killer type situation, based around the plains and the gate towns and whatnot. So, what were you guys' thoughts as you came into it? On some level. on some level. Uh, it got attention on you guys mainly. That was the biggest thing. Like obviously the angler had his eye on you for his own reasons, and without throwing too much meta information in there, um, you didn't hear a response to my question. Uh-oh. Are the players coming through at all, Mr. Midnight? I'll make sure it wasn't on just our end or yours. No player. That is an issue. Bear with me while we fix that then. Oh, you know what? I bet I know exactly what that is. This is going to look a little weird to you guys at home. Bear with me a second. Do, 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 do. Everyone can hear you guys now for sure. Actually, we can just stick like this. That's fine. For what we're doing. That should be better.
Yeah, all is well.
There we go. Yeah, I forgot I used a different overlay. That was mainly for when I was solo. I didn't have audio set up for you guys. So, I apologize for what you missed. It was fascinating banter. Probably award-winning, not gonna lie, but it's been lost to the ether. You're just gonna have to take my word for it.
What a shame.
But yeah, we were saying, Prem, you had asked if the hijinks that started with the previous case, the case of the Clockwork Heart, with Otto-chan and Fall from Grace, had led to events in Pound of Flesh, correct?
Yeah, specifically the murders of the two of them. Like, if both of their murders were were at all relevant to, say, the ritual of ascension or anything like that, or why they were murdered essentially, and who done it, I guess.
So their deaths weren't tied in to the ritual of ascension. They were separate. More or less murders just involved in the case and the friction that was occurring within the hierarchies of Sigil, the underworld hierarchies of Sigil. But no, the ritual of ascension didn't actually kick off until the first murder that you found.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. The more arcane components of it didn't appear until then.
So, and that was Kylie. And I know Prem, being the foremost expert on Sigil lore that she is these days, I remember you actually kind of got excited. You recognized the name and as one of the well-known denizens of Sigil.
Yeah, because it was between Case of the Clockwork Heart and Pound of Flesh, sort of that transition period where I retired Freya and introduced the Ghost, or as everyone at home knows her by her actual name, Bryn. She was a little bit peery about this whole shenanigans with Otto-chan and Fall from Grace, because it was just Jimmy had solicited her services to help with the situation with Otto-chan and Fall from Grace. So after they were both killed, she was just like, Jimmy, are you over here trying to peel me? What's going on? And then after Kylie was murdered, Bryn believed Jimmy more, because she was like, if someone or something wants to get to Kylie, it would make sense for someone to go kill off Otto-chan, because Otto-chan has, in lore, pretty close ties with another NPC that we didn't deal with called Shemeshka the Marauder, who basically has Otachan's life for well-being, like, sort of in her hands, I guess you could say, because she tricked Otachan something fierce. Going back to, like, Otachan's relationship with Noxana. So Shemeshka kind of had a little bit of a thing for Kylie, not romantically, God no, like, what in the world was going on there. But she pretty much told Otachan, like, listen, it's your job to protect Kylie. I don't care that she is your competition. You make sure that no harm comes to her. So, yeah.
And of course, like, the logic behind your drawing those connections was very sound as well. Your knowledge of lore has become very impressive, dangerously so.
You get the deep lore here.
Oh yeah, which is great. This is one of those things as a DM you love to see, you know, players doing deep dives into lore.
Yeah.
It rounds things out a lot. And I know Jimmy coming into this case, and for those of you at home who maybe just kind of, who maybe have just joined us, say for Sigil, it's very important to be aware that some of these people in our party here, the Master, Jimmy, Draken in particular, out of this crowd, have been together for a long time, and they have survived not only a large number of cases, they were actually investigators before their life in Sigil, but they rode out the end of their world together.
Jimmy spent a good deal of time convinced that this was just kind of a shitty afterlife.
Not terribly far off. I mean...
I mean, there's a lot of devils walking around. You gotta keep track of these sorts of things.
A lot of petitioners walking around, too. Yeah. But I say that because coming into this case, especially, Jimmy was already worn. You know, the whole Bilbo Baggins butter spread over or too much bread type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed in his attitude going forward, not in a negative way, just from a role play perspective. He has become the grizzled, worn out, old veteran detective, you know, which is a classic noir staple.
The noir has definitely arrived for Jimmy, but we'll see exactly what happens going forward, because I learned some things about doing it that way.
Well, I'm intrigued.
Yes. Over the course of the this leg of the campaign, and I'll go into them after we finish our sort of recapping phase.
Yeah. And well, speaking of the old timers, this season, we'll say, we saw the introduction of Timber, played by Wall God or Jay. I don't think he's here with us tonight. He's got the wedding.
He's a busy man.
Busy man. So we'll forgive him this time, although he could be joining us on his phone at his wedding. So
I really hope not.
I was about to call him a slacker, but you ruined it. No, it's all good. We wish him well. But no, we saw the introduction of Timber. Timber was a really weird little character, class-wise and personality-wise. I think the party never really took a full shine to him or learned to trust him entirely. All within roleplay, of course. And come to find out, he was actually searching for Malachi, which is from way back. So we had all these weird little tie-ins. Unfortunately, Timber got dusted. disintegrated.
Yeah.
Thanos snapped.
Thanos snapped, exactly. And as sad as it was, I know it rippled a shockwave out through the party. That was her first hardcore death in a long time. But it did allow for the reintroduction of everybody's favorite glittering golden boy, Draken. With the exception of, was it Nil? I believe Nil is not a Draken fan.
Do we have a Master Miss on mic, though, also? I have not heard too much out of Master Miss yet.
We do have Master Miss here. She may not be on mic.
Muted.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the mutes.
But that's okay.
They happen.
That's okay. I'm sure she's fuming to tell us how much she disliked Draken as the character Nil. There was some bad blood there, in game. Just Nil was a fan of Draken. Master misunderstood. Okay. Maybe I was wrong. I don't think they hated him at all. Okay.
Just got a little singed.
It did. It was the fireball. It was the fire spells in the tavern that wiped out all the dustmen. That caused it.
And now they have a particular affinity for fire themselves, so it's just like...
Go figure. Fireball. But yes.
Maybe not as much as Draken, but, you know, getting there.
Very much. But we are glad to have our glittering golden god of fire back, I think, on some level.
Much preferred to have it this way.
He's an old salt veteran, much like Jimmy. And they have an interesting relationship, the two of them, I think. They're pals.
Yeah, he's not around to perform his half of the, the doubles act here, but they are both con men of a sort, and they have worked many a persuasive argument over the years.
It's very true. And they have been through a lot, you know. Wrestled an elder brain in one. Master Miss. Cracking me up. Speaking of Master Miss, we got a really good peek into the inside lives of Nil and the Master, both played by Master Miss, understood. They are a very interesting dynamic. The two of them. Three if you include almond milk.
Yes. We would prefer not to include almond milk whenever possible these days.
That poor donkey has been through some stuff.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think of the shenanigans with almond milk this season?
I thought it was pretty effective, you know.
Yeah.
It's good to have a mouthpiece for the angler that we have complicated emotions about.
Yeah, the attachment to almond milk and that voice coming out of it. I can see that would be very conflicting. But it did offer a unique chance for me to have the overarching BBEG keep an eye on you, and to antagonize you. And occasionally was a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina here and there too. Which is always fun. And with its attachment to Nil and the Master, and its attachment to your much further back backstory, going back into your original homeworld, and its attachment to Mori and everything, that was I've enjoyed messing with almond milk in that regard.
There were some emotions here,
which we definitely want to pull on a little bit. Of course, I believe it was right at the beginning of the season that we met Casey too, right? That's right when he got hired.
Pretty early.
It was the day that everyone went to go investigate Sare's murder, I believe.
Okay. So yeah, he came
Literally
in
that
on
morning.
he did come in on this particular case and got hired as an additional investigator. One of the 10 billion rogues that are in our party.
The rogue stack. The rogue stack.
Yes.
We saw both its powers and its vulnerabilities in those last couple of fights.
Yes, yes. DMs at home don't allow more than one rogue in your party.
Or do, and then do what Church did and just put in 3 enemies too many and see it all just fall apart.
Yeah. Hey, we lived just about.
Yeah,
Just about.
if you count it up, right? I only died 4 times. You only died twice.
Yeah.
I got better.
Does it count? Probably.
I got better.
We'll
But
call
no.
it a draw.
Let's make that a DMing tip. Top tip from the master himself, the church warden. If they have a lot of rogues, they either win in the first round or die in the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be fair, I did wear you guys down pretty hard at the end there.
Yeah.
It was great though.
Yeah, but you enticed me with the promise that Bryn not having used any of her resources would be a boon in the final boss fight, and I could use none of them because the only spell of mine that didn't have a verbal component was Minor Illusion.
I will say this, and we'll get into the details later, but there was a way that you guys could have all had your spells. We'll save that for a little bit later as we move through, though. Just to throw it out there, and you guys can go, oh no.
I'm gonna be so upset, I know it.
So, let's talk about Bryn. Bryn was a new addition this season too. The mysterious ghost. And you guys may not even realize this at home, but there is a novel's worth of backstory with Bryn, and it's fascinating. It's very well written, plotted out. We have a map of her home, like all kinds of really cool little details in there.
Oh my gosh, she has so much, and I've written so much more that, like, I still have yet to show Church, but, like, I'm not done writing it. I'm filling out that backstory a little bit more, now going back even into, like, her childhood and the circumstances of her birth.
That's great, though. That's what you want. Are there any little tidbits you'd like to share now that we've come this far with her? Things that you think might be cool to share, or do you want to keep it all in the shadows?
I'm going to keep it all, or most of it, in the shadows, just because I think it'll be fun for, like, people to find that out, because, like, I've, got little seeds and stuff placed for, like, everyone to find that out, but I will say, like, just for everyone here in the audience at home, of why Bryn likes to scare people, because I feel like that may be or might need a little bit of explaining.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so this bit of her personality, like all the backstory sort of props it up, so like but I'm not going to be giving away too much by revealing this, but Bryn as a character, like, so something happened to her about 10 years ago, that led to her becoming known as the Ghost around Sigil. And people are generally very terrified of her. They don't know what she's just a spooky local cryptid, like, people think that she, most likely is an actual ghost, but don't know the story behind that. Like, her power level is unknown, but she seems really, really powerful, so people are generally pretty scared of her. And, you know, whenever people are terrified of something, you get, like, you know, two general reactions. Just, like, you're scared shitless, like, cowering in a corner, like, oh, like, I hope it doesn't get me. Or you're going to go out and try and murder that thing. So it doesn't terrorize you anymore. And Bryn has felt that she was a person who was in general danger, like even before everything that's happened to her, but she uses that ghost persona to make people afraid of her, and she stays mysterious and keeps very, very tight control over her appearances as sort of a maladaptive protection strategy in a sense. So what she will do is if a person like wants her help, she generally does catch wind of it, and she will scout out the person for a while and make them feel as if something is sort of stalking them, like they have eyes watching them, like they feel haunted, they don't know what's up. And once she feels that the person is sufficiently scared, then she will reveal herself to them. And it goes back to, she wants people to feel that sort of first reaction where it's just like they're so scared of her and they feel like she's ultra powerful, so they won't try and do anything like against her. They won't try to murder her or anything. And the scouting is just to make sure that, you know, they won't actually try to do anything against her, sort of deal.
That makes
Just
sense.
sort of watching and observing the sort of person that they are. So yeah, it sort of helps keep up that mythos, and also just as sort of like a protection strategy. And she would have kept that up with the rest of the crew. I had intentions of revealing herself to everyone one at a time, putting the fear of God in them with respect to her. And then she would reveal herself, and yeah, eventually once she goes out to, like, everyone individually, then she'd be hanging around the whole crew. And, like, you know, as she hung around, like, people, you know, got the sense, like, oh, you know, she's actually sort of cool, but obviously the circumstances of what went on kind of forced her to reveal herself to everyone early. But people think she's cool anyway, so she, like, doesn't exactly know what to do with this information. She's just like, oh, huh, these bastards actually like me, what the...
Not even the weirdest person here.
Yeah, true. And I will say this.
Probably not.
We've had some really interesting moments with the ghost.
But, yeah.
The life or death healing of the
You're muted,
master.
Jason.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
The powerful self-mute.
I was gonna say we've had some really interesting moments with the ghost. A lot of like the life or death moment with the master and the memory heal. That was a real nice tense moment. The clouded alleyway with the tent at the end, you know, leading Jimmy off to have a private chat. I think one of my big favorites, though, and it's one of the things I've loved to see happen with the ghost, is every now and then I throw a spanner in the works for the ghost. And we get some really unique roleplay out of it. Because the ghost is very confident, the ghost is a mainstay within Sigil, a native of Sigil. And, like, the moment, do you remember when she got hunted and was actively afraid?
Yeah.
Like that, for instance. That was the first time that we saw the ghost actually say, oh no, I'm out of my league, I need to get out of here. And I think,
Pretty much.
I think in a way that drove her into the waiting arms of the Stapleton Agency, at least closer to it.
in a sense, she realized that she couldn't do it without other people. And especially, this is the sort of thing that she doesn't like happening, where people come and find her. She's just like, oh, no, 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 no. This can't be. So, yeah, this did draw her more into the arms of Stapleton, and that she knew that she had a better chance of facing this thing, like, if she sort of stuck close to Jimmy. She had already given Jimmy her word that she would stick around, because after the whole thing with Audichan and Fall from Grace fell through, Jimmy asked if she would stick around to help with the Angler, and she said, yeah, I'll stick around. So, yeah, she was just like, no, I need this thing dead, and I need an army of minions behind me to help kill this thing, whatever is trying to kill me, so yeah.
Of course, now I could be wrong, but I think the day that sealed the deal with the ghost was the day you guys went shopping for a new kitchen.
That definitely was a moment in which the ghost was showing up all the way.
Well, and I know it almost sounds silly, and in D&D you don't get to see these moments very often, where people just go out and do something mundane, like shopping for a new kitchen, basically. and as you guys have pointed out, with the dark points and the seriousness and the stress that I put you guys under, sometimes you need these breaks where you just kind of go out and you do something mundane, or you have a night at the Wickle Tongue, which was a learning moment for me too, because I'm not the one under the strain that you guys were, obviously, until you guys brought that up to my attention, which is good. So pro DM tip for you guys at home.
It's a pacing thing.
It was, and this season has been an insane pace.
Woo.
Well, the group is kind of forced into that, really.
Yeah, very much. And it was intense, because you guys came right off the Clockwork Heart and dove right into this, because there was a bleed over there. And you didn't get a lot of break. You know, you suffered some losses coming off of the Halloween episode, especially.
Mm-hmm.
You muted yourself again.
Sorry, I was coughing there.
All good.
But no, you guys were coming off of the Clockwork Heart, the Halloween episode, directly into the Pound of Flesh. Like I said, you guys suffered some losses there. You had certain people leave. We lost, Freya. Brought in, we went through. Nilios disappeared. No one was ever sure if he was a betrayer or not. And then, was it the Spell Thief?
Yep, Spell Thief showed up briefly and then...
Which in character, of course, always is kind of like, what happened to that guy?
I always wonder sometimes. No, I have a feeling Nilios may recur.
He might
I think
be
you've
out
got
there.
him in the pocket.
He's out there somewhere still. But that does, of course, bring us to somebody I would like to talk about who has been a mainstay for a while, in and out of character. And that is your illustrious landlord, Zill.
Hey.
There he is. Hey, Zill.
Yo.
So, obviously, as a player, you've been out of commission for a little while. But Zill was your mastermind idea. Tell me tell me something about Zill, because I mean I've been playing him as an NPC for a while, but what was your original concept there?
Oh, well, to be honest, you're the one that introduced the landlord idea. I wasn't going to go with that at all, in a sense, I don't believe. Just that I was the one that loaned you guys the building for Sigil. Kind of. I didn't know I was like, going to be like charging y'all every month. But hey, it worked out, right?
Sometimes you get paid. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes the
Yeah.
building is blown up and has bolts shot through the windows every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I heard about that. At least you put it in the kitchen, right? Or whatever.
Well, after
Did
the
install
toilet,
a kitchen.
after
Did
they
happen.
tore a hole through the floor.
Thanks. Really improved the workplace.
Yeah, your girlfriend was very pissed off about that.
I mean, in all fairness, that was Elim.
It was Yulim, yeah. And I think Zil has probably one of the most interesting romantic relationships ever.
What? It's just a dude in his book.
Well, dude in his
And
library.
librarian.
Very much. In fact, you know what? I think why don't we show the folks at home? We'll pull that up real quick, just so the folks at home can see what we're talking about. There we go. Everybody at home, meet Zil and his girlfriend.
She's kind of hot.
So it depends on whether or not you're, heating or cooling.
I'm very into books, so
Very much.
it's very nice.
And so is she. So yes, this is an actual sentient living building that they live in, the office, at the basement of which is a huge library, where Zil stays. He owns the building more or less, and communicates with it through a book he carries everywhere. She is very jealous, very mouthy, very opinionated. She does not like Jimmy and the crew.
We cause a lot of trouble. We were really trying to make peace with her when we put in that kitchen.
And it may have sated her for a moment, but she's a little overbearing. But no, honestly, that whole dynamic has been so much fun for me, and it did all stem out of Zill's initial concept, which we ran with and played with off screen to come up with kind of who he is and how that works. And it's been really fascinating to use even as an NPC going forward. It's been a great mechanical device to push things or move story or to get you guys out of the house or sometimes just comic relief.
Yes, lots of that.
Oh, yes. Everybody loves to have a laugh at the guy getting belittled and beat up by his girlfriend.
It is a mainstay of situation comedy.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
But Zil is actually a very interesting, very dynamic character. If I remember correctly, he has the ability to potentially know the answer to just about any question by asking the book. There is a small chance that he will get the correct answer to any question.
Yeah, very powerful in this way.
Very.
Yes, I am the exposition.
The expositioner.
We got a lot of people competing for that title.
Yeah, Ginkgo in particular. Have you heard the good word of our shroom and savior?
Yeah.
And I think that brings us around to some of the other mainstays that we've seen. Now, granted, Zil started as a character, became an NPC, and we'll probably see him in the future being played a little more with an actual body behind the voice. What about the other NPCs that you guys run into? I know my personal favorite has got to be the Warranes.
Oh my god.
The Warranes are good fun every time.
Yeah.
They're hilarious. I just... they make me laugh so much.
There you
Jimmy
go.
has not been a con man proper in a long time, but they walk into the room and his head perks up. He can smell marks.
Yeah.
That's them up on the screen for you guys at home, though. Here, I'll pull this up for you guys. There you go. I know you guys love to look at them. The Warranes.
But it's funny because Ted spent all this time obsessing about Kong's doll, Chucky, when his white whale has been banging around the crew the entire time.
This is true. This is true. And they are actually, once again, very dynamic. I was surprised at how dynamic they became.
Yeah, just giving them that little bit of edge where she really does have some genuine psychic ability, but is completely unable to deploy it for anything reasonable.
Yeah, she'll get that little hint of truth in there every now and then, just enough to make you go, wait a minute. Say that again.
Now, hold up.
Meanwhile, Ted there. Oh my gosh, Ted. Ted and the booty worship.
Yep, that's
Yes.
classic. Classics of meme.
But we have not seen the last of the Warranes.
I have no doubt.
And
Oh, I imagine not. I imagine that now that word of the ghost being associated with Stapleton Detective Services gets out a bit more, that Ted will be back on his white whale now.
or back on the badonkadonk, one or the other. As Master Miss has,
Both.
as Master Miss has pointed out there.
Both. I mean, they were on the job when he started worshiping the badonkadonk.
Yeah, we can't fault the man. Just a couple of kids in love. So, what about the rest of our NPCs this season? Have any of the others stood out? I know it was great to see Lady Alessandra make an appearance. It was a good throwback for the hardcore fans out there. And a slight tie-in with Nil as well, which was interesting.
Yeah. Lady A was my character from a past campaign, Digging Deeper, which sort of ended fairly abruptly, and I sort of wanted to bring her back for at least a session to just sort of like close out her story, give her like a little small update of this is where she is now, and yeah, lay her to rest.
And it was fun. It was fun. It was fun to see her and Malachi actually kind of walk out in a friendly manner. You know, that kind of mutual respect for what they had shared in the past. And that was technically the last time you guys ever saw Malachi alive.
Yep, it's true.
Malachi was, of course, my character from that campaign, but poor guy. He was just misunderstood. But what about the rest? What are you guys? Anybody stand out that you enjoyed?
I think Pohan's really stepping up his involvement with our nonsense.
I'm not gonna lie, I love Pohan.
He's a great guy.
Pohan's my favorite NPC.
Aw, yeah, I love Pohan.
Arnold.
Arnold, yes. Arnold has existed in just about every game that particular watcher has touched.
He gets around, you know? He gets around.
There's been a lot of Arnolds. We haven't seen an Arnold in a while, though.
I'm sure it'll be in our future.
Could see that. I could see that. Was it the who was it? The Mercy
Harmonium.
Killers? The Harmonium?
Mm,
You made him a hardhead.
That's right.
yep.
Arnold. That is fun. Anybody else stand out for you guys?
Alem was fairly standout.
I was about to say, I did like Alem.
Lim was very fun because he was such a gray character. Like, you guys flip-flopped back and forth with this love, hate, fear, what the hell are you thing with him that I really loved to see, because that's what I was trying to go for, was to keep you kind of not sure what to make of him. Because, you know, he's a rogue Modron, and Modrons on their own are so straight and narrow. They know their purpose. They have one job, and that's all they do, and it's their sole existence. Whereas he being mucked up with the slod, and then, you know, being the rogue Modron, was completely without that. And yet still trying to maintain it.
I mean, get a cross between a creature from Mechanus and a creature from Limbo, and you're gonna have some interesting results.
Oh yeah. I wish I could take full credit for him, as at least the concept. If you know anything about Sigil and Planescape, you know Yulim is a classic mainstay NPC within the realm. I just kind of wrote in my own personality for him, but it was a lot of fun coming up with that.
Greetings, Burke. One does not drink the dead book today, yes?
He's so fun. So,
I enjoyed the villain interactions. I mean, they're such a key piece of Noir. But I think Angler and Elderbrain both had some good standout moments.
oh yeah, yeah. Were they your favorite villains?
I think the Angler is really coming into his own. I think he's probably reached favorite villain status because I'm gonna swing for the fences on this prediction.
All right.
Feel no obligation to clarify. Put it like that. I feel like the way you introduced the Angler with him masquerading as Stapleton was not coincidental in the slightest. I feel like this character is either in a much more elaborate and thematic way supposed to be a Dark World version of Stapleton, where he is seeking to become this deeply connected sort of node of power, where he's got the dirt on everybody. He's got all these, friends in high and low places. Or is literally a Dark World mirror of Stapleton, perhaps created when the Fettered Cloud went down.
Interesting.
So just getting that out there. I see what you're doing. I see the parallels are very, very clear.
Very.
Especially when the Angler described himself as a fixer, that being the criminal underworld version of pretty much what Stapleton did.
Yeah.
Very true. And
they both just want to keep Jimmy employed.
I will throw this out there for you. That's not the only inspiration I pulled from the Angler at all. But one of the big things I wanted to do when I created the Angler was make a Moriarty to your Jimmy, basically.
Yes, and I get that. But what's interesting is, I think in the same way that Jimmy differs from a Sherlock Holmesian figure, the Angler must therefore differ from Moriarty.
He is, as competent as he seems and as powerful as he seems, he is not perfect. I will say that. And I wish he could be here. Teacup, unfortunately, is under the weather tonight. But I would love to talk more about Irene Watts.
Yeah.
Shows up complaining that we're nerds, has 2 Sherlock Holmes references for her character name.
She's been an absolute joy to have as a DM. I think she brings a unique class of bumbling competence.
Yes, directed mayhem.
Which is great.
There is a glowing hole in the ground.
What's this
What do you... I touched the button. Instantly. No hesitation.
Which great.
And ordinarily, Bryn wouldn't be so quickly comfortable around a person, but now she's just like, okay, the Angler apparently hates you. Like, you're an Angler deterrent.
Yeah, love that. Big fan.
And like you're this like clueless, just sort of like, awkward, like you couldn't hurt me. So Bryn's just like, this is my small human. Like, must protect.
Must protect. Oh yeah, and I really think we'll see her come into her own as we go, in a good way. And I think that might have been an interesting dynamic that you guys kind of needed, especially with as hard as everything got for a while. Like, you guys got real serious for a bit there. And granted, we've got Draken in the groups. There's always that degree of comic relief, because it's Draken. He literally produces glitter 24/7. But I think that bumbling, like, oh, what's this button do? Click. Is going to create a lot of interesting, fun tension.
And also a shorty and a party of talls. Like, Irene is 5'2".
Exactly. And she tries to look so big. But yeah, no, I think she's going to be a really fun addition. And eventually, you guys, obviously, I hope, will figure out why the angler was so twitchy about her.
I assume it has a little something to do with Irene being a cleric.
Possibly.
That was my initial read, but obviously there's just nothing to go on in character yet. Jimmy will be curious, though.
I will tell you this, and this is because I trust you guys not to pull out of character knowledge, obviously. Irene is aware of certain things to do with the angler that she has been privy to, that you guys haven't seen.
Ooh.
But she doesn't know how to interpret them. She doesn't realize it is what it is, or who the angler even is, or why it's significant yet. Which, for me as a storyteller and a DM, once again, is just like, I love that developed that way. Because it's like, here's this key you guys have been desperately searching for in the hands of someone who has no idea what to do with it and doesn't know to tell you.
Yeah, that's why I think in this sort of time skip, Bryn, like, sort of in the off time, is just going to sort of personally, like, teach Irene, and, like, so she's more in the dark of how things work around Sigil, so she doesn't get herself killed.
Yeah, hopefully not. We definitely don't want to see anyone get murked in the off-screen moments.
Yeah, because Bryn's like, okay, you're important to protecting Jimmy from the angler, and I've got my word that, I come hell or high water, or am going to keep, so, yeah, I can use you. Come here, so you don't get yourself killed.
So,
of course, she wouldn't say that in character, but that's sort of her thought process.
So I want to ask, what did you guys think about that? There was 2 encounters that you guys had that, as a player, for me, would have been mind-blowing, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. The first one was when you actually saw the lady in the flesh.
Yeah.
What was going through you guys' heads right there? Because that's a real big rarity in Planescape.
Yeah.
Possessing enough contexts, like, Hannah clearly has scoured all available Planescape source material shy of the game, which she might get around to at some point. But, I've read it. I'm familiar with Planescape Torment as well. And it's referred to often enough in the campaign as we play to have appropriate in-character significance.
Yeah.
I felt like the oh shit button had been hit. Like, I immediately had Jimmy, like, begin to fear for everybody's lives.
It's a record scratch.
Yes, it was a good moment because we were already sprinting around.
Yeah.
We were already in panic mode because we were standing across the way. We realized everybody's losing their mind and memories. And then Jimmy just has the brain flash. Oh shit, that body's trapped, wasn't it?
Yeah, for me, that really wasn't as much of an awestruck sort of moment because whenever, like, you know, I'm playing any of my characters, is like mentally I'm so in character that I don't think an appearance by the lady would have really hit Bryn because she has lived in Sigil for 30 years and the lady floats around every few months or so, so she probably would have seen the lady floating around Sigil, and Bryn knows enough that it's just like, you know, don't
Go to the other side.
just don't get in her way, and like, you know, don't upset her, and like, you know, she's pretty cool, like, you know, just don't mess with me, I don't mess with you, and we're cool kind of deal. So whenever Bryn saw the lady, like, she was just invisible at that point, so she was just like skidding to a stop, dipping her head, closing her eyes, trying not to look at her, and just trying not to anger the lady, because in her mind she was just like, oh shit, I could get flayed right here.
Very true. You don't want to end up in a maze. That could get nasty. Mazes are always so hard to DM too, and keep interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the other one was the Inevitables showing up. Because I know you had to get a little nervous.
I think for Jimmy in character, there was less context. Because he would have been in Sigil for long enough to maybe have seen the lady once or twice, and to know from everybody else that you really do not mess with the lady. But I continue to just love playing him as if he knows just fuck all about the planes and magic and is never going to learn.
Stuck
Not
in the
out of
ways.
willfulness, it just refuses to stick.
Which
So-
is brilliant.
He
It
knew
is.
enough to understand that one of them could punch his ticket for his outstanding crimes against being alive/dead.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like one thing to run into a Marut. You guys ran into the whole slew all at once.
Yeah.
And that's pretty rare as a DM to get to pull out the Inevitables.
You gotta bring out the godhood nonsense for that.
I was glad you didn't pick a fight with them.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, we don't do that here.
Probably would not have gone
Hell
well. Probably would not have gone well. And I'm sorry about that fateful ribbon there. I just saw your message. I can't wait to find out more about Zil as we go forward. He's been fleshing the boy out a bit.
Bonus Zil. I'm looking
Bonus
forward to that.
So we'll get to find out more about Zil going forward. So that being said, with the oh doo doo moments, were there any other big like shockers or like oh gasp moments for you guys?
Shockers.
I'm-
There was a lot of near stuff on that. You know, there were good moments of smaller jumps, like the printing press coming down on Jimmy was a good one. A question about that.
Yeah.
Would you have killed me with it, or would you have shoved me through into another plane with it? Because I did catch later on that you said they had actually brought the thing in through the printing press.
There would have been rolls involved to see what happened.
Alright.
I'll always give you. I'm not a big insta anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, there would have been rolls. Death was on the table.
Okay.
But at
I was
this
just curious.
at
That
this
was a good one, though.
at this level, death is always on the table. So one of the ones I remember, kind of the room going quiet, was when you guys thought Pohan was dead.
Oh, yeah, that was a rough one.
That was an emotional one because it's just like we all love Pohan. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, me too. If I hadn't known, I would have been upset myself. Which I know sounds weird as the DM, but you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It felt a little yucky doing that to poor Kong.
Yeah.
Which
It's very in character for noir, but it's usually the betrayals and the sudden and unexpected deaths are typically for lower duration characters.
very true. And
So it really hits.
Kong being once again one of the OG. Almost as old as the rest of you. If you remember, there was a little Jimmy Snapcrack moment in the very beginning.
Yep.
Before Kong joined. And I am still pushing Chance, if you're listening, Chance, you big wiener. I hope you'll come do a guest spot and bring Kong back for an episode or two.
quick interjection. He's probably at Jay's wedding.
Probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which means I can get away with calling him a big wiener right now and no one can say anything. So, is there anything else that you guys that stand out as like high points or fun things or things that you were just shocked or taken aback by?
Let me think a moment, because now you've expanded the question a little bit. It's not just shockers anymore, it's anything that was really noteworthy. Our roles throughout the entire leg of the campaign here have been just unreservedly cheating.
Yeah, you guys
We
are
have been
terrible
at cheating
cheaters.
tier ability, like, checks on everything.
Oh yeah, you guys are total cheaters.
And I've only gone and made it worse by making it to Rogue 11.
You guys are terrible cheaters. I've never seen so many 30+ rolls in my life.
Yeah, I don't know what to advise you to do at this stage.
I am just gonna a Tarask that gained super intelligence and became a lich.
You know what? Speaking of deadly combat encounters, I would love to talk more about how that last series of combat encounters went.
Yeah, go for it. What you got?
God, that was really good. I know you had to have been planning it as a two-part encounter from the start, and that's why the first one went a little better and smoother.
Oh yeah. Although, to be fair, you guys fought really well.
We were doing our level best, and you gave me too strong of a dagger. That thing is not fair.
The Jathamon dagger.
Yes. That dagger was so strong that I've included it in, the character arc.
It is a big deal. It's an artifact.
The evil energies and the incredible power of violence within it were enough to give Jimmy, severe flashbacks to his bloodier days as a criminal before his employment by Stapleton.
Yeah.
And that's gonna, that matters. That shook him a little bit. But it was the first encounter against the Elder Brain felt really tight, really well coordinated from us. We were deeply sad to see Hannah asleep the whole time.
Bad luck. That was honestly just bad luck.
Some unfortunate rolls.
Which for you guys is rare. Just to point out.
Yeah,
Very rare.
No, that's the first series of what was it, 6 checks?
Was it 6?
6 checks before rounds because round 3 you Like, I bought one of the bonus momentums, like, with some of my channel points to give myself a reroll because I was so fucking over it. And then the 4th round, which even if I had made it that round, it would not have mattered anyways because we literally finished combat, like, in that round. So not like I would have gotten to do anything, but you gave me 3 rolls, 3 opportunities to break it, and I did not make any of those.
I know. I was trying to help
every
you.
time.
I really was trying to help you out.
That was rough. But I loved so much that we got to see in that leg of the fight the absolute best that the team can perform. And then in the next leg of the fight, we got to see the absolute worst.
It's true.
I'm just still sad that I didn't get to show off Bryn, because Bryn's like, she's the sort of person where she's like, if I'm going to make an appearance, I'm going to throw my power around and make myself seem like the most powerful person in the room. So, like, in character and out of character, I was a little peeved off.
It does happen. It does happen. As much as we try to avoid it. There was an item in that room on one of the bodies. Actually, 2 of the bodies. 2 of them had it. That if you had gotten it, it was an item that when you activated it, it would have created a air bubble around you.
All of that cut out except for air bubble, but that I think air bubble was sufficient to let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, did that all cut out? I said there was an item
Pretty much.
on one of the bodies in the room
Mm-hmm.
that would have, if you activated it, created an air bubble around all of you. Around all of you.
Oh, around all of us too? Damn.
Ooh,
It's just... Irene said, I'm gonna touch the butt. Hadn't been 6 seconds since that thing was uncovered.
It was the haste. But yeah, it would have allowed you guys spell casting and some additional defense even.
Yeah, I loved. It was very tense at the moment. It was a very exciting fight, but I loved getting to watch the numbers game just completely flip. Where, 4 mind flayers and an elder brain, just stack your rogues up and go to town. 3 giant sharks, a couple of Sahwagins, and an aboleth?
Underwater.
It's gonna take you too many rounds to kill anything.
It was 2 giant sharks, by the way.
2 giant sharks, my bad, not 3
Yeah.
giant sharks. Tell me that just died.
But
The 3rd giant shark would have done it.
oh yeah, and you guys pulled it off though, without a loss.
Just about.
Good thing I got advantage on death saves.
Well, there's that too. But
I rolled so many nat 20s
You
on
just
death
stand up.
saves.
Stand up.
yeah,
Job's not done. Stand up.
if you guys if you'd have found the item,
It would have been so much easier.
but yeah, it was one of the things I say to other dungeon masters and writers, like advice wise, all the time, is don't neglect your environment. And throwing you guys underwater was one of those things where you're pretty powerful. You have some pretty powerful people in your group. That was me leveling the playing field. Like, even if you'd have had the bubble, there would have been problems.
Oh, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Including you getting ripped out of the bubble,
Yeah, that would have been rough.
Those tentacle attacks. But
Yeah.
you pulled it off. You left the Jathamon dagger in the body of the aboleth. In the body of the
Only a
aboleth.
little sad to see it go, really. That thing was trouble, but it was really valuable trouble.
It was beefy.
Really, he most regrets that he can no longer make a deal with the angler.
There
That was
will
a
be.
really substantial bargaining chip.
There will be other opportunities.
None that require only giving away an item.
You never know. It is Sigil.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find something else pretty valuable to a guy like that.
Oh yeah. Of course, nobody still knows. Still, nobody knows the angler's angle,
On that one, yeah.
No.
which
Yeah,
is good.
The lady, maybe? You never know.
It is good. He's playing games. So, you guys made it through a pretty epic fight chain.
Mhm.
Granted, for your level, it should be a little beefy.
Oh, yeah.
So, as far as where we go from here, before we do that, let's get into the brass tacks a little.
Mhm.
Tell me what you didn't like.
I know we brought it up. I certainly remember I brought it up at the time. But, as you mentioned, the really continuous series of depressing things happening to the characters. That was a struggle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a struggle. I understand it's very noir, but to pilot a character through a noir story is different from reading a noir story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you go back and read like Raymond Chandler, there's these moments of not quite happiness, but at least some sort
little-
of base pleasure.
Or levity.
Yeah, or levity. Somebody's funny. There's a good drink to be had in the company of an attractive but ultimately devious femme fatale. There's these moments of more peaceable things.
Yeah. Yeah, I know in the first season, the Clockwork Heart, like you had like the fencer trolls and
Yeah, we had the fencer trolls. There were moments in like the brothel that were more lighthearted, even though we were there to investigate a body.
and lesson learned for sure. Like I said, like the Wickle Tongue episodes are a great way to kind of break things up and let you guys blow off some steam and relax, and still have an exposition. You can kind of still talk things out and work out some details.
Yeah. And I'd like to interject too.
Yeah.
Let us have more moments, kind of like whenever Jimmy and Draken were doing their thing with Jimmy's criminal contact at the
That
Snap
was
Finger.
good. I should have mentioned that as a highlight. That was such a fun time.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Like, the ghost was invisible, like, behind them during all that and not even participating, but, like, I, in character and out of character, was getting such a kick out of that. Oh my god. That was great.
I really did enjoy the pickpocket attempts that ended up with hands full of glitter.
That was golden.
Literally. Yeah, no, and I'm perfectly okay with that. And some of that will be on you guys to say, hey, I want to go do this, because you know me, I'll let you guys go do anything, and I don't always think about that, obviously, because I'm very driven on plot and moving the story, and sometimes I get lost in that. And admittedly, as always, you guys know me well enough by now. Like I'm really cool with constructive criticism.
Yeah. And
So-
on that, and one of the things that I didn't necessarily like was I wish I had more moments to really let Bryn shine, and like her trying to spook the whole party. Like, I had a 6th level minor illusion that I cast from a scroll set up at the second Wiggle Tongue session, and I had intended to do more with that, but I didn't really get any moments to spook the party as much as I would have liked to, and it's just kind of like I wanted to do something whenever Ted and Lauren like entered the scene, but then everyone just kind of stole my thunder there. And then like I had a really good poem that I had prepared and like recorded it in Bryn's quote-unquote spooky voice that I was going to use like whenever we were having the group meeting to sound like a spooky disembodied voice, like, you know, offering up her own suggestions to the party, but whenever the moment was there for me to do it, the Maroots came in. So it's just kind of like I had all of these, like, you know, plans set up to just really have Bryn have these awesome spooky character moments that I just never got to do. And now I'm just kind of sad that, like, I didn't get to do them, especially when it's just like she's out to the whole party now. So it's just like, how can she scare, like, the people now? It's like they know what she's all about. So it's just like, I'll never have that opportunity again.
Well, I would never say never. And that's something I'll work with you on if that's something that you want to do more going forward. One thing I would recommend if you want to be spooky is what level of spooky do you want to be? Do you want a existential dread spooky or just Addams Family spooky? You know what I mean?
I guess more Addams Family. More so than true existential, but I guess a bit of a mixture of both, and that, like, I want her to sort of, like, even, you know, as the people who, like, know, even for the people who know that she's a changeling, in character, like, maybe they'll have some moments where it's just sort of questionable, and it's like, oh, well, is she just, like, the ghost of a changeling? Oh my god, like, you know, what is she? How powerful is she really? Like, you know, what is this creature that we're dealing with still, even as they quote-unquote know her? Like, maybe have moments where the party feels like, oh, well, they don't really know her. Not really, sort of deal.
So, something I would suggest to do that, to help you manifest this as a player, there are some things you can do to really make people wonder. For instance, like, you can use your basic cantrip, like prestidigitation, thaumaturgy type, you know, cantrips, for instance, to make your touch feel cold, for instance. You know what I mean? Or kind of make your eyes shimmer in an odd way. Just these little things that make people take a double take and say, wait a minute, what was that? Or when you come in and out of invisibility, actually push it to where it's not a blink and a change, but you fade generally into the scene. You can even add like wisps of smoke and tendrils of icy cold from your thaumaturgy or whatever. These little tiny details that make people actually say, what's going on here? It's not existential dread, but it's enough flavor, I think, that people would want to know more. And that's kind of what you're wanting, is to build less fear and more of a curiosity, I think. Like a respected
is that
curiosity.
I've been doing that with her the whole time.
Yeah, well, I just mean going forward. Just ideas. Something that maybe we can work on together to build into. Because you know me, I'll work with any of you guys if you want to build an effect or try to do something. Kind of like the tent at the end of the mist-filled alleyway moment. You know, I'll work with you on these things, but we need to work them out in advance, I think, and, you know, come up with ideas that can kind of take it from not so spooky to, oh my god, what the hell just happened?
Right. And, I mean, like I said, I have moments like with the, you know, I pre-recorded the poem, so it was a moment where it was just like, it's a spooky, disembodied voice, but it's just like, because I, you know, had things that I can do with her.
Yeah.
And it's things like that. My problem is not that, like, I didn't have things that I could do with her, it's just that I never had the moment to do those things, because it's just like, something else came in, just like, you know, the spooky disembodied voice that sounds like it, you know, came from the middle of nowhere, like the Maroots like came through, and I never got to do that. So
it's difficult with 7 characters to for pacing reasons. It's difficult, and that's on me, because I know you told me in advance and I got once. It's like I said earlier, I got so driven and caught in moving story and plot that I just got kind of swept away with what was going on. So I apologize for that.
Thank you.
But with things like that, like if you see me kind of moving in that direction, like nudge me in a DM or something and say, hey, I still need to do this, you know, I'll work with you. And I'm aware I can get a little tunnel vision sometimes.
Yeah, it's just in that case, like with the Maroons, it's just kind of like the moment had passed. Like Jimmy was literally going into like, you know, the moment where it's just like, oh, I just gotta wait for like the right time where it makes sense in context for me to like whip that out and have it, you know, play for everyone. But no, the Maroots came like immediately, just as we were like on the subject where I would have interjected with the poem.
Yeah, and pre-planned character events are difficult because there are 7 of you, you know, 8 occasionally, and everybody's moving in different directions. And as a DM, that's a lot of moving parts to keep track of and the story. So that's why I say, like, nudge me hard if you need to. Say, hey, I need to do this tonight during this moment. And nudge me a second time, which I know is a pain, and I apologize, but
I just hate pushing and being an asshole because I feel like such an asshole whenever I do it.
No, you're not gonna upset me. You know me. Like I do constructive criticism pretty well, I think, and I'm really, it's difficult to bother me. So you're not gonna bother me, especially if it's something I've already said. Yeah, let's do this, and I'm the one that's forgetting. You know, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, I just hate being pushy as a person.
No, it's all right. Don't think of it as being pushy. Just think of it as reminding your absent-minded friend.
I'll try.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. And I'll work on it too. You know, so it's not just you. I'll work on it too. I don't mind that. Is there anything else, you guys? Now's your chance.
I got one more thing to mention, but it's less of a complaint or anything that you need to correct, and more something that I realized was proving difficult about playing Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And we've discussed this in private before, and I think everybody's heard me mention it once or twice, but if we've hit the end of like the real constructive criticism portion, I'd be glad to go into that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty loose and open.
Oh, Master Miss has got something in the chat.
Oh, you do? Sorry. I worry about scaling my skills to balance the party. The Mystic, Master Miss, honestly...
It's so beefy.
The Mystic is broken. Me personally, I would love to see Nil retire myself, just because the class is so broken, and no matter what you do, it's not on you, it's nothing you've done. Just the class itself is so broken that it steps on literally every other class's toes. Like, there is nothing anyone in this entire party can do that you can't. And in a way that negates some of their unique abilities from being unique abilities. If that makes sense.
And then, like, being able to cast what is effectively Revivify without the 300 gold piece diamond cost, that's crazy.
Yeah, and being able to grant haste basically every round, and... Like,
God, that's crazy.
God, we did so much damage.
Yeah.
As long as you have side points.
Exactly,
So
which we've never run out of.
Yes,
Yeah.
just a whole sea of side points.
All right. So,
But that's it, as far as that. It's I would actually like to see Nil retire.
I'm gonna vouch for Master Miss here, because I know Master Miss has said a lot that Nil is her favorite of the two.
I know. And
So I have a dangerous proposal.
okay.
Are we brave enough to tinker with it? I know wizards themselves tried it and then said, nah, we ain't even gonna try.
I have no problem with homebrew material, obviously.
Yeah, because we know it's a lot. Everybody knows it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Maybe there's an amount that is slightly less.
It's
That
I
is
will
not
say,
so
just
much.
to interject, D&D subreddit has a sort of a favorite homebrew psionics class by a user named Kibbles Tasty that apparently everyone like just loves and says is really balanced. That this user made for people wanting to play psionics characters in like a 5th edition adaptation of Dark Sun campaigns. So maybe I could send that to the two of you and you could, look over
Look
it,
through it.
see if that's something you want to do instead.
Yeah, please. Oh, well, she'd rather retire than tweak it. More headaches.
Yeah.
I know you like the class. Your play style is really big on being able to do everything. And it's all good. We'll work with you. We'll figure something out. I'm not doing that to call you out. I don't want you to feel like that either. I like Nil as a character, as the person. So don't think that it's mainly just a mechanical thing. If we can tweak it, I don't mind you keeping her, or hit them. I'm so
Them.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I've got 2 little kids mumbling in the background here.
Hey.
But yeah, we'll work that out off camera. We'll come up with something for us to do. Because I would like to see you find one character that we play going forward. Not that there's a problem. You haven't done anything negative with playing 2, but I think it does cause some confusion, and it also kind of takes away from some of the other players too. So that way we can just kind of streamline things a little bit. But we'll go over that off screen. We'll figure something out that makes everybody happy. Hopefully. But was there anything else, you guys? Jimmy, you had something.
Yeah. So, I have, over the course of this leg in particular, done some careful thinking about Jimmy as a character, especially given that he's set up at the moment as the linchpin of the group. He's the boss, he's supposed to be the lead investigator, he's trying to keep things running. There have been substantial difficulties with that, where it's pretty much impossible for me to step him out of the spotlight for very long, because stuff just keeps getting referred back to him, and he has to do all the official dealing with a lot of people for the agency. So there's that.
I think that's part and parcel of being, like, technically the leader of the group.
It is, but I want to mitigate it a little bit. So something like the decision-making responsibility it's neither here nor there, but one of the things I wanted to do going into this leg was make sure Jimmy was not doing all of the actions, and I tried and it didn't really work out because of how the relationships are structured here.
Yeah, something going back to the very beginning of the campaign, where like when Jimmy was taken off to jail, and it's just like we had various members of the group splitting off and taking initiative of various ways, like Draken, Freya, and Nil going over to the Gathering Dust to confront whoever had shot Jimmy with the poison arrow, and then Kong going to investigate Harris Hatches to see if he could get any information into this, whole thing with Otachan Fall from Grace and all the murders going on. Because Kong got some bad information from the urchins that Harris Hatches might be involved in some way when, yeah, the neutral good free leaguer who's just, out here doing advertisements for the entirety of Sigil is going to be,
He's just a
involved in
businessman.
all this.
It's just a businessman.
So yeah, even then, which was one of the most successful parts of the campaign from that standpoint, it was only a temporary thing because eventually the party grouped back up.
Yeah. So you're wanting less responsibility.
So I thought about it, and that's what I wanted to achieve.
Because I do have a way for that to happen.
I have also had some plans. I was gonna.
Oh, go ahead. I'm
outline
sorry.
my plans.
Yeah.
So, I thought about that, and then I said, okay, how would this work from a character narrative perspective? The answer I came up with for that is Jimmy is consciously attempting to replicate what Stapleton did for him, which was be headman in charge, have all these connections, do all this organizing, be perpetually on the lookout for the interests of his employees, and this was particularly important to Jimmy, have this very rigid and specific set of ethical guidelines for the work. And that is not really a good fit for who Jimmy is. Even from the first appearance, back when he was just a junior investigator. A con man does not make a very good Stapleton. So, over the course of this leg, I think what he's done is he's realized that it isn't working. That he cannot fill that role. And if he's going to keep this whole enterprise going, he's going to have to do the job differently.
Okay.
I'd like to, and we talked about this before, now that this leg is over, he's going to take a little sabbatical. Off-screen, can be the time skip.
Yeah.
He's going to head out to Elysium, probably, one of the nice afterlifey places. And he's going to work through some stuff regarding whether he's alive or dead or whatever. And when he comes back, he's going to more or less dissolve the hierarchy of the organization and the formal part of the business altogether. He's not built for it that way. He's built for having these seedy underground connections, running scams and doing favors. He's not built to be the boss.
Yeah.
So, I would like for Stapleton, the official business, to pretty much be shuttered, but at the exact same time, he would be spreading through his contact network that jobs can still be gotten to him, but not through the normal paperwork and you show up at the front door means. A little bit more on the down low.
So an independent contractor.
Yes, but a clearly shady one. Not a deeply criminal one, but one that is just sounds more like a weird secret order than a normal business that has its name on the door. Something becoming a little more mystical and mysterious, which I think is a decent pivot to do at this moment, where rumors are going to be going around that we're associated with the ghost and killed a god.
Yeah, and to support what Jacob is saying, just the two of us have been talking about this, because Jimmy wants to get Stapleton Detective Services into essentially the same sort of mode of operation that, she operates her own business. Jimmy is going to ask Bryn to, send some people his way, which Bryn, can work her contact network, and Jimmy's, pretty much the only person who she'll do this for at this point. But she said, in my process of finding clients, if there's a client who needs something that I cannot handle for them right then and there, that Bryn will send them to Stapleton Detective Services, and she wants a finder's fee from Jimmy for that, and a little fee whenever the case is done.
Okay.
And this would also allow Bryn to sort of expand out her clientele, because she really doesn't like to make prolonged appearances, which is why she would never offer resurrection services to anyone, because that takes an hour. That's too long for someone to put an arrow through her head or something. So this would allow her to expand her clientele to include people that have needs that can't be done in a short time within the tent, either just telling their fortunes or what have you. And it, really would support the rumors of the Ghost and Stapleton, being sort of, intermingled. And, maybe this is where the rumor starts, is with, Jimmy wanting to operate this way. But, he doesn't have the means or the contact, so he asked for the ghost help, and now, these rumors are sort of floating around the underbelly of Sigil.
Okay.
But regardless of how we work it out technically, what we're gonna see coming back from his sabbatical is a more relaxed Jimmy. One that's a little more sanguine when it comes to threats against his friends, because he understands the limits of his own powers and has faith that his friends and associates can look out for themselves.
Yeah.
He'd be quite glad if, the master shows up, stuck in some trouble, or has a job, and he just sort of coordinates. He helps out, just like the old days.
So,
And especially now that Master will have his full memories back thanks to the ghost.
so this new business model will, in essence, put it'll take Jimmy out of the role as coordinator, basically.
More or less.
And-
He can still be, because I know you've got narrative hooks, he's still in the mix.
Yeah. Well, no, don't worry about my narrative hooks. I can work around anything. At the end of the day, the business model that you guys decide to follow is your business model. However you decide to handle business going forward is entirely in your hands. I don't want to dictate that to you at all. If you want to shutter the shop entirely and turn to a life of crime, you guys totally can. I'm okay with
He
that.
thought about it.
And it's an option. It's totally an option, because the joy of D&D means anything goes. You know what I mean? You can do anything you want to do. It's kind of the cool thing about it. So, no matter what you want to do, this is fine. If you want to start using the ghost as a contact to siphon jobs off of, that's perfectly fine. If you want to start a thieves guild,
Maybe a little bit,
or become information brokers or fixers.
Okay, so if we're gonna become a thieves guild, my assassin dude is definitely a good choice.
and yeah, that's exactly depending on the direction we go forward, of course.
Yeah.
And
That would definitely influence my choice.
and if you want to keep something similar to the direction you're going to, I can throw in an NPC coordinator.
Oh, no, there's no need for that, because at the same time that Jimmy realizes he is not Stapleton and can't do the business that way, he does feel a responsibility to keep it going. You might look at it as the group becoming infected with that Sigil-style ideology and becoming more of an association. Because I know the various factions have their factols, but there's also stuff like the Free League, where they're
I was about to say that's kind of what this.
Non-hierarchical.
That's kind of what this sounds like. Is you guys are actually going away from just being a business to the beginnings of starting your own faction.
Yes, because
Which-
that's.
I'm okay
fun.
with that. That's an interesting direction.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to start a faction, all right,
Mhm.
it's important to remember that the way reality works in the planes is not about good and evil and everything to do with the power of thought and belief.
Yes.
If enough people believe your philosophy, it becomes reality.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's the direction you want to go, and I'm fascinated by the concept, because I've never had a party try to start a faction,
Yeah.
what I'll need you guys to do is basically like come up with a little writ of what your faction stands for, what your philosophy is. And then as we play going forward, you need to not recruit, but you need to push your ideas and try to get people to sway your way. This could be your branching network of contacts, for instance.
Mhm.
Depending, like say if your faction is about information or whatever have you. I'm sure you can work that out.
Would love if this is what we do. How does everybody feel about this?
I don't know, because like
What?
a faction in Sigil is more of like a philosophy of the way the multiverse works. Like the Free League is just like, oh, like no one has all the answers, but like, we, and going to keep our minds open with the, oh God, what's the governors? I forget their formal name. But the Fraternity of Order, they think that there's some, like, laws undercutting every single corner of the multiverse, and that if you can find out these laws that govern the multiverse, then it's just like you can find loopholes and essentially, like, ascend. Things of that nature. So it's just like, I don't know what sort of a philosophy that Stapleton Detective Services can kind of like espouse of like, this is how the multiverse works, nor do I see the organization going in that sort of direction. Like, when Jacob and I talked about it, like, I always saw it as like Stapleton not being a faction, but they're not a criminal organization. They still essentially do the exact same thing that they've been doing. They're just secret.
Yeah, they're an underground order. I just, Church said that, and I said, that does sound kind of fun.
But it doesn't have to be separate either. Or no, it doesn't have to be a unified thing either. Like you can still start a faction and do your underground thing. Like if your faction, for instance, is of the belief that mysteries exist to be uncovered, for instance, that would fit in entirely with what you're doing. You're uncovering mysteries. You're exposing the truth.
Yes. If there's not a lot of interest in the group, I might just internalize that to Jimmy as a long-term plan.
And that's fine
Because
too. I mean, it would
Something
be
that's interesting about him is he's a deeply ideological character. He has a really rigid internal system for determining what to do at any given moment.
Yeah.
And that's not really normal for most of my characters. It's kind of fun to play with.
It is interesting. And you can go that route. Any of you can go that route, either together or individually. And if the general consensus is that we want to kind of turn away from Charlie's Angels and go into the A-Team, we can do that.
Dun 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 dun.
Also,
I'm definitely promoting more of an A-Team vibe.
Also, it may be worth pointing out that in the 127th year of Factal Hashkar's reign, the decree from the lady is there will only be 15 factions. So Jimmy trying to create another one is an invitation to getting mazed. So we
Hey.
definitely
Good
don't want to
point.
go
Hey,
in
look.
that direction.
This is the time when you need to hire an assassin to get rid of the other faction for you.
Well,
Just clear them out.
I will say too
Just
that
clear them out.
some of the overlying expanded universe of Planescape I'm a little loose with, because some of it went in some weird directions. So I don't mind branching from certain things if people want to push that route. I'm fine with that. It doesn't have to be a campaign thing. It can be an individual push. But if you want to push to start a faction, I don't think I would send the lady after you, because I'd be curious to see if you could pull it off.
I'll keep this one internal to Jimmy for now. We're just gonna say he's gonna come back from his sabbatical. He'll be a little more relaxed, but he'll still be very firm in his own beliefs of how things work and should work.
Which, with Jimmy in particular, I could see that with. He's always had a kind of personal philosophy that he's adhered to. He's never really... He's never branched out away from who he is. He's never betrayed that, ever. Jimmy has been Jimmy the Mouth Collins since day one. He's grown and evolved as a character, don't get me wrong, but I mean, he is still Jimmy. He's always been Jimmy. He'll probably always be Jimmy.
Yep.
You know,
That's the hope.
it must be a weird thing, like with Cairn. You know, like Draken, for instance. Draken is Draken. And the only thing that's changed about Draken is he's gotten more glittery.
He's a little bit more Draken.
Yes. So and the Master too. The Master has always been the Master. And even though they've evolved as a character, they have remained true to who the Master is.
We started with some really straightforward and pretty decent character, like, archetypes for that one.
Yeah, definitely. And they've stayed true to who they are, which is interesting. As much as you guys have been through, you know, as much as you guys,
The world changes.
literally.
We try to stay the same.
So no, these things are great. I'm perfectly okay with that. And like I said, the business model going forward, it's your business. It's just like the Wickle Tongue. If you want to start selling milk instead of liquor, it's on you guys. Probably won't do as well.
No, not as popular around these parts.
Generally, I'm sure it'll have a market. That being said, we're talking about sabbatical plans, all right?
Yeah.
How long do we want to be gone for? How much downtime you guys want?
I think Jimmy could do with a couple of weeks or a month.
Okay, so not
Long
too
enough
long.
to head out there.
I was gonna say go ahead and take a few months.
I was thinking 2 to 4 months myself.
Yeah,
It's fine by me. Everybody wants it.
because I mean time passes weird in the plains anyway. So
Yeah.
we'll just say let's go ahead and max it out. We'll say about 4 months will pass. Jimmy's got a plan. I have a feeling Bryn's got a plan to what to do in those 4 months. Any of you have things you want done in those 4 months? We can talk about them now. That's fine, but do make sure you write it down and send it to me, especially if there's any details that are important and anything you want mechanically to achieve over the course of the 4 months, in case there's dice rolls or anything necessary, you know, to achieve them. This is your chance to craft and create, to shop, to build, to expand, to chase down internal character arc stuff, that type of thing. I know we've got some talk of some characters swapping out. We can say that this happens over the course of that, and even use some of that time to already have some touch of familiarity within the group. Once again, just send me these ideas of how you want to go forward, or we can talk them out here if there's something riding your mind right now.
Yeah, I'll just put this out there so everyone knows. For Bryn in particular, well, for one thing, she no one's going to know her name. It's still just going to be the ghost to everyone. So no one in character go be calling her Bryn or anything. Just FYI.
Not a problem.
But over those 4 months, she is just going to continue working her business more or less. So, like, nothing's going to change except she's going to be coming around the crew more. In this time, like, for the time that Jimmy is back in Sigil, I do want her to come around more. And Jacob and I have been discussing this one-on-one, where Bryn and Jimmy are going to have a bit of a deepening friendship there. And I imagine that she'll be, like, she's not really one to open up about herself, and I don't think she really honestly knows how to open up at this point because she's never done it. But I do imagine that she'll be getting close to Jimmy in particular, but, you know, kind of starting to getting to know a few of the crew members, like, especially with the way that Draken's reacted to her. I feel like by the time that the time skip is over, that Bryn will be closest to Jimmy, but starting to develop a bit of a little friendship with Draken as well. And certainly with Pohan, too. So yeah, just throwing that out there.
No, that's perfectly all right. I mean, as long as it's all right with the other players, obviously. I don't want to make decisions for them, but I don't see why it would be an issue unless they have some thing that they're doing. Yeah, and that's what we want, is to build some relationships too over the course of this time. I will say over the course of that time, everybody will gain a level.
Fancy.
Oh, and one other thing, there is a magic item that I want Bryn to buy.
Okay. Send it to me and I'll yay or nay it. If it's
okay.
The rest of you as well, keep in mind, Sigil, there's a lot of shopping to be had in Sigil. It is the epicenter of the multiverse.
And being the levels that we are, like, for a high magic setting, our characters should be coming into possession of some very rare magic items, per the Dungeon Master's Guide, so keep that in mind, y'all.
Yeah.
So, my thing is, I'm kind of set on definitely retiring Casey from this thing. I've posted the 3 different characters that I've got in mind to replace him. So there's Dark Moon, who is obviously an assassin stroke bounty hunter. M. Sharas is a dragonborn. He's a Drake Warden for something new. And then there's Journal, who is a fighter wizard type thing. Does anyone have any ideas on either of those 3, like preferences wise?
I will say the Drake Warden's pet could be problematic in Sigil.
That's true.
Does it teleport in and out?
It's a medium-sized drake.
Yeah.
Ah.
In Sigil.
Yes.
They could be problematic.
Okay.
Just because it's an urban adventure, more or less.
Well, I mean, it's only medium-sized, so it takes up a 5 foot by 5 foot square. It's not like a large dragon.
Oh yeah, I just mean parking that in the street. It's up to you guys, obviously, always.
The more casters are around, the funnier it is that Jimmy knows nothing about magic. So that would be hilarious to me, but that's not really a good enough reason to pick one over the other, you know?
Well, if we are going with the A team,
Then the Dark Moon would probably be a better choice.
the assassin,
The Bounty Hunter.
bounty hunter, excuse me.
Bounty Hunter, yeah.
That would make sense, because you guys are going in basically, like, it sounds like you're going to be less a detective agency and more of like a skip tracer.
We could do any sort of work, you know, the same way we were always doing any sort of work, though we would still make pretty damn good detectives, I would say, with our numbers.
And your history.
But, yeah, we've been in a lot. I think the part of the goal with the restructuring and the going underground with the business is to attract weirder jobs. At the moment, it's, you know, it's kind of set up like a lot of the off-screen stuff is more normal investigative work, and we play through the ones that are really interesting.
Yeah.
What of the weird jobs were all we took?
Yeah, getting your...
Yeah. Somebody who's crazy and desperate enough that they're going to go to a business that has no place of business and can only be reached by stumbling down the wrong dark alley.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's straight up what Bryn does.
Okay, so we're basically going to dark web investigations services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This we can do. Stapleton gonna remain a front then? Or you taking the sign down?
It will move into myth and legend.
Okay.
It will be said that they slew a god and then vanished, but on the wrong, not quite moonlit night, you can still get a message to them if you're in need of service.
Indeed. Dun, 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 dun.
dun.
Yeah, this is straight up just Bryn, but like sideways.
Yeah.
Alright.
She loves it.
It's
She's
a really
going to love
attractive business model.
It really is.
So, one of the things I'm going to try and do then is I'm going to work up a communication network that you will have access to. So, I'm going to look at that in just a second.
it. Okay.
So I'm going to work out a communication network to which people can contact you anonymously.
Yeah.
So there is no direct point of contact unless you choose it to be. One of the ways I would like to do this is to bring Kong back as an NPC or an occasional guest, obviously, and have him actually have worked out an underground communication network with the urchins, of which he is now... You ready for this? King Kong.
King Kong.
Yes.
Yeah.
King Kong of, King of the Urchins. So, and we'll have him kind of work out basically a network. He won't work directly with you because of the history and everything that happened. He's still freaked.
Yeah.
But he's burrowed himself into the underground. The urchins are everywhere. Their eyes and ears, they always know. So basically, if someone wants to get word to you, the underground dark of it is find an urchin, give him a message, and pray you hear from the mysterious team.
I still would love to have Bryn be somewhat of, act as that as well. Like, even if it's just in the beginning, but also, like, still,
well, Bryn's...
like, you could call out to the ghost and, like, maybe she shows up and maybe she can direct you towards Stapleton. I still want her to be, like, a part of that as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, Bryn's got the direct ear of Jimmy. And like you said, anything that she won't or can't do, she'll pass on. You know what I mean? That's what that's what you said. Like the jobs that you don't want or can't do or don't feel comfortable doing or that'll take too long, those are the ones you hand down. So you've got a direct ear. So some jobs will come through you, other jobs will come through Jimmy. And I think if we go this route, what I'll do is as we begin each new story, I will give you guys an option. Like here's some dossiers of problems you've been presented with. You choose where you go. Because now you're not waiting on walk-ins to come through your door. People are reaching out to you anonymously or secretly, and you have your choice of cases.
Yeah.
So, would that be all right? That way, we'll say we've got the Bryn case, and then maybe 2 or 3 from the Urchin network.
Okay.
This is fine by
And
me.
you guys can all kind of decide which route you go from there. And I'll try to keep them shorter. We won't have 18 episode long cases, hopefully, unless it's just a big one.
Yeah, just chunky.
And because I do want you guys to keep in mind that we are working towards something really huge.
Yeah, I figured.
Because you guys have hit level 12, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We will now.
So by the time we get to about 17 is when we're going to start looking at Spelljammer.
Oh, the plans.
And that's when we're going to start looking at breaking the crystal sphere around Cairn.
The plans, they're coming together.
And then Bran can like throw in her childhood hyperfixation, be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. We gotta do this.
Ginkgo wants to give the crew a case, and Master Miss has a question for
I
you.
see that. Master Miss, if you want to write No off, you are welcome to do that in any way you like. Just clear it with me first. If there's any mechanics or fallout that could affect the rest of the party, I will work that as best as I can to where it's not like detrimental to anyone else. Because I don't want, that to... Unless it's fun. In that case, I may just let it be detrimental. But yeah, of course, that's your character. Like, you don't have to write her off, them off. I'm so sorry. My brain is scattered today. Please forgive me. You don't have to write them off if you don't want to. Like I said, we can work something out if you prefer, but if you would prefer to go that route, I will facilitate it as best I can. No worries. If that's okay with you. But I think we've got a solid plan here. And Master Miss, if you're not happy with keeping the Master, if you want to, because I know you said you preferred no. If you want to roll a new character, you can. That's always an option to try something different. So keep your options open. Don't want you to feel railroaded into any particular one. Talk to me about what you want to do, and we'll figure something out. Same goes with all of you, obviously. I mean, honestly, a couple of you have gone through a tremendous number of characters.
Bren's here to
Yeah.
stay. Y'all ain't getting rid of her.
One of you has single-handedly populated an entire neighborhood. With very interesting characters, though, I will say. But yeah, no, we'll work with whatever you guys need. But it sounds like we have a plan going forward with our A-team, our underground communication network, cases from the Ghost, and Casey is retiring. And we're bringing in, it sounds like, the bounty hunter. Yeah? Maybe?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Perhaps.
It sounded that way to me. I guess we'll subject to change. I have a feeling Irene is here to stay. We'll work out something with Master Miss. The Ghost is definitely staying. Jimmy, I assume you're definitely staying.
Yeah, we're keeping the Jimmy around.
Good. And part of me would hopes Draken will.
Yeah, same. He's so much fun.
He's very fun. He's a lot of firepower too. The boy does some damage.
I think Jay likes Draken too much.
Yeah.
Like he said, Timber was kind of like a one-off, an experiment. So I think the intention was like always to keep Draken in, but of course I can't speak for Jay.
Oh,
so
The main thing that Timber had going for him is he had an absolutely glorious mustache.
Mm-hmm.
which you guys can see in the graphic there. It was just total cop stash. It was amazing. So I will always miss his cop stash. I like to imagine that in the pile of dust left behind in Timber's death that there was a mustache on it. Because even Disintegrate couldn't touch something that
Quite that strong.
that powerful.
Timber's mustache is a magic item, so Disintegrate can't touch it.
It is. It is. It is.
What does it do? Just be really fucking powerful.
It is. If you can manage to fix it to your lip, it's an immediate +4 charisma. So, we have a plan.
Yeah.
Sounds like, and obviously some of you are working through some things to figure out, which is fine. But I think this will be a very interesting direction. Are we still cool with keeping the noir feel?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm good with it for the moment.
Yeah.
So we will remain Sigil confidential.
Okay. Also, I've got a quick question for you, Church. Is talking about Dark Moon Rising. He got a boon from the goddess Mistra. It was gifted True Sight. Not the divination spell, just True Sight. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Would he still see the ghost?
Well, I mean, True Sight sees through invisibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Her amulet.
her amulet would.
But that's against divination spells, not the ability of True Sight. So a dragon would see her just fine, right?
It's proof against detection.
Right.
If I remember correctly. Detection, not divination.
Yeah, here's
Specifically, the
the
actual the
Yeah.
actual item itself. It says divination spells.
Yeah, and this is a thing that we were trying to work out because
Yeah.
in that, tweet that Jeremy Crawford said the ruling, like creatures with innate true sight, like, you actually have the physiology to support that. Like, amulet of proof against detection or location or the non-detection spell, like, won't do a damn thing. They can, like, still, see through, like, see a character that's invisible or shapeshifted or what have you. It's
Yeah.
only, like, against, the spell or spell-like effects that, it prevents the true sight from seeing through that. So the real question here is,
Yeah.
how would you consider a boon from a god? Like, it's...
Well, here.
Do you consider it a permanent magical effect, wherein just because it is a power granted from the gods that it can see through, or like did Mystara actually like change Dark Moon's physiology to now he has like actual innate true sight, or will it not work at all?
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's the thing. The boon is a spell cast by a deity with a permanency attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
It is of the divination school. So therefore, if the amulet cancels out divination spells, it cancels out true sight as well.
Okay.
That would be my ruling.
All right.
As long as everyone feels fair.
Fair enough.
No.
That's sort of one of those gray areas where it's
Yeah.
just kind of like
Yeah.
left it up to DM's ruling.
Yeah, I would go based upon just the school of magic that it comes from, because it's not innate. You were gifted a spell cast on you by a god.
Right. Yeah. I want to make sure, because it depends on the DM that you're with. Sometimes it's like a physiological change. Sometimes it's a magical spell. So we wanted to ask you.
Yeah. Well, this is just specifically with that amulet of proof against detection. Like normal invisibility and everything, of course, it's true sight. It still works.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's fine.
Alrighty.
But yeah, that, and of course, once again, all of you guys, Any shopping you want to get out of the way, send me what you're thinking about, and I'll yay or nay it. Once again, you are at the epicenter of the multiverse. There's a lot of shopping to be had. And if you're not sure what you might want, we do have that interactive map of Sigil. Feel free to browse through it, look at shops. You might get like some, idea spark that say, oh, well, that'd be cool if my character had this. And be creative too. You have 4 months to craft, meditate, exercise, all kinds of stuff, train. So yeah, be creative.
And just for everyone's reference, in-game, the new in-game date, given that 4 months exactly from the end of the current or the past, the arc that we just completed, the new in-game date will be the 11th of Tithing in the 127th year of Factal Hashgar's reign. So there you go.
There you go.
That's our
Okay.
starting point.
I'm glad we have that on stream as well.
11th of Tithing. There you go.
So yeah. Also, any name changes that you guys want to use for your new business model?
That's a question. I hadn't thought about that.
Will it still be the Stapleton crew, or you guys want to change it to something new?
Oh no, we might have to deliberate this in the Discord.
That's fine. We can talk about that off screen and surprise everybody at home. And in fact, those of you at home, or who might be watching this before our next broadcast, join our Discord and talk about it in general chat. Throw some ideas out. Maybe you'll inspire something, and you can be like, I thought of that next time you watch us. No promises, though. But yeah, and don't feel beholden to the Stapleton name either if you guys want to change it. The only name I would ask that you don't change is the Wickletongue.
That one's important.
That one's...
The Wiggletongue I consider like a separate entity, just under like the same, run by the same people, effectively.
Yeah, the Wickletongue is a mainstay, and our homage to our beloved Almond out there still somewhere. We miss you. Someday we will get dear Almond to come back and make a guest appearance. I really hope it's in the Cairn game.
It would be funny.
I would love to see her come play Almond, even just for a session. Or not Almond, Mori. Sorry.
Almond is occupied. Sadly.
Yes, I would like to see Almond play Mori. But yeah. So, anything else you guys want to cover? Talk about, laugh about, pick on each other about?
I feel like I've run the gamut of stuff I wanted to say.
Yeah.
It's been a fun time, both in the campaign and here sitting around.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. I love working with you guys, obviously. We've been at this, God, what, like 2 years now?
Sounds about right.
We've been at this a while. Since we started with, what was it, The Mystery of the Farmer's Wife?
I think it's been a year and a half.
Has it?
Maybe?
Well, I mean, we did the Halloween episode where
Well-
you met the angler last Halloween a
Yeah,
year
it's
ago.
2 years since we started, like, the one-shot.
The one shot that turned into all of this.
Yeah, but since starting, like, in Sigil, it's been a year and a half, more or less.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the whole thing since we started the one shot.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, so, and that's pretty wild because that means some of you have been playing your characters for 2 years.
Yeah, because y'all did this whenever, like, I was going to be out of town because I was going out to New York City for vacation. That was the very first Stapleton investigation session.
So far back. And of course, our little one-shots in between, which we may visit one day. Some of you remember Get That Pie.
Get that pie.
And our cartoon adventure when the pandemic first started. That was
Quest for the golden two-ply.
Oh, that was fun. Not gonna lie. I hope we do more of those going forward. And Ginkgo, I did get your message there. I will add that to the list of cases that they will be thrown. I won't tell them which one is yours until after they choose. And with us doing multiple cases like this, I have no problem with, especially watchers out there, any of you fans, if you want to shoot me ideas for potential cases, by all means, please. Actually, I think that would add a really interesting level of diversity and interaction for our watchers. So, yeah, send those on. Yes, he has. Send those on, definitely, because we love interaction with you guys. I do, at least. They may come to hate it, depending on what you submit.
Cause trouble for us. We love that.
Please do.
Make it a thing that you can redeem with channel points, like 50,000 points, and you get to suggest a case for the Stapleton crew.
I know Ginkgo's probably got about 10 million. I'd be careful with that one.
I said 50,000. Oh, channel points. Yes,
Yeah.
10 million channel points.
Oh, yeah. Ginkgo
Potentially, I have
never
like 65k.
misses. Oh, yeah, Ginkgo never misses. He's our biggest fan. We love having him.
We do.
There's the shroom and saber.
Banana.
Well, anything else you guys want to cover before we,
Nope.
No?
All
Not for
is
me,
well,
anyway.
my friend.
All right.
I'm looking forward to playing Dark Moon again, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the next chapter. Would you guys like to pick immediately back up, or do you want to give it a week off to regather, restructure, and flesh out ideas?
We do Sigil Confidential once every 2 weeks. I say we
Right.
pick right back up.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm perfectly okay with that. I just wanted to give you guys the choice, the option, just in case.
We've got 2 weeks anyways. I'm ready. I'm ready to get this like new chapter rolling.
All right. In that case, in 2 weeks, we will begin the new campaign, the new chapter of our story. Anybody who's just joining us, we do put everything up on YouTube. It's all there if you want to get caught up. By all means. Otherwise, next week we return to Cairn, our homebrew world, where some of these guys started. So don't miss that. And yeah, see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Catch you in the next episode.
Definitely.
Good night, everyone, and happy Samhain.
Happy Samhain
Happy
indeed.
Samhain.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.